Hi, my name is Boris, and in this video I'm going to show you 10 techniques for making your pad sounds more interesting. These are simple yet incredibly effective ways of adding movement, harmonics and variety to all kinds of pads. Before we get into the video, if you like what we are doing on this channel, make sure to subscribe. We've got more content about Ableton coming up. If you'd like to learn Ableton 12 with all the foundations of music production, check out our Beginner to Advanced Live 12 Start to Finish course, and make sure to also check out the Everything Bundle Collector's Edition, which includes all of the courses, sound packs and project files in our store. And to see all of that, check the links in the video description. Alright, so let's get started. So here we have a project file called Substances, and this is the main drop. Now let me show you a part where all of the pads are coming in. So it's mostly this dream sort of bridge section. So let's open it up and let's listen.
Substances. Substances.
So I hope you like this sound. It's very heavenly, very uplifting, very emotional sounding. We're going to go through 10 techniques that have been used here to achieve this kind of elaborate sound. So first of all, the core of this entire pad structure, I would say, is this track right here. Let me just solo this one. Alright, so if we take off the effects on top, we have pretty much a standard saw wave type of sound. On top, we have some effects on the group. So this is a reverb chain. We can also take it off for now, only some subtle EQ. So this is what it sounds like by itself. Pretty standard, but there are a few things under the hood here in Wavetable. First of all, obviously we've got this band pass filter, which we are moving with envelope 3. So envelope 3 is assigned in the matrix tab to the frequency knob of the filter. And this just opens up our sound in time instead of us having to manually draw the automations with every chord. You can see that we've also got a unison mode here. So if we take none, it sounds quite flat. But then we have two major unison modes that we can choose for this type of sound. We've got the classic sound with 3 voices. It's a nice start with 30%. And it already gives the sound a bit more life. But if you'd like it to sound a bit more detuned, a bit more shimmery, we've got this setting right here, shimmer, and it gives us a more chorusy, detuned sound without even increasing the amount over 30%. So I hope you can hear that the sound is really wide, really nice and detuned at this stage. So then we are just doing some bandpass EQing, mostly removing the top end, because we've got some tracks on top of this. And then also we are doing sidechain compression. So I'd say the first major technique would be using shimmer and then also taking advantage of sidechain compression to have your pads sort of pumping with your rhythm of the track. So So in this case, we are using the sidechain compressor as more of a sound design tool, purely for this pumping sort of effect, instead of using it for making space for other instruments. As you can see in this section, we are not playing the kick drum, which means we technically could not use this compressor, but adding that little bit of pumping just gives a bit of energy to the track. And then on top, we've also got some gain automation. We can take a look at it here, and it's pretty basic. We're just setting the gain stages for these different sections. So that would be the first two techniques. And of course, another technique would be to either automate or add envelopes to the filter. In this case, the bandpass filter works really great because it cuts both our highs and lows. And this 12 dB per octave curve, it's much smoother sounding than the 24 dB. So let's just give that a comparison. So I just prefer the open sound of the 12 dB per octave bandpass filter. Alright, so that would be this track. Now let's take a look at some tracks on top. It's pretty subtle, but I hope you can hear that we are adding this sound. It's also a bit muffled thanks to this EQ and low pass filter. And then we are also adding this choir sound. And we're doing a bit of gain automation here with utility on this one. So in general, what we are doing here is we are just adding some upper harmonics with different synth patches on top of our main shimmer saw pad. And this just gives our pad a bit more sonic variety. Same actually with this one. Let's play it right here. We are actually playing the same melody within multiple octaves here on these two tracks. And this creates a melody on top that would be a bit harder to achieve with this single sound, particularly because we are just limiting the amount of frequencies, the higher frequencies here. So we are just adding this melody on top with separate tracks that we can actually control the gain and filter off independently. Alright, and another cool technique, if you've got these lines on top of your sound, is to utilize the glide function. For instance, right here in Wavetable, we've got glide. It sounds actually pretty cool when we glide between notes here. And it's really, really easy to achieve, and it can just add this unexpected pitch variation, which in my opinion can sound really cool and just be very interesting to the ear. Another way of achieving this, if we were to not use glide, would be to utilize MPE. So we can actually go to the MPE tab in the piano roll and select a note and just glide this way. So it should sound pretty similar. And what's cool about doing it with MPE is that we can actually glide with multiple notes at the same time. Let's take a look at our shimmer saw. And for instance, let's say we want to glide from this chord to this chord. So let's go into MPE. Let's select this note right here. and we're going to be gliding from this one. Similar deal over here. We're gliding from this one, and then similar thing here. So let's give this a listen now. Okay, maybe it's a bit too slow. We can move this with Shift. And what's cool about this is that each of these notes can have a different kind of length. Right? And then, for instance, this note can appear from here. So MPE for glides is just the perfect solution, and you can do so many crazy adjustments here. All right, so let's also take a look at this track right here. We've got a choir sort of track. And this is an instrument rack consisting of operator, just doing white noise because we don't have a nice white noise setting in Wavetable. And then on top, we've got a sine wave layered with a saw wave in Wavetable. But what I wanted to show you is the modulation that is going on here. We have quite a chain. So first of all, we are using the legacy chorus here. And if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you know that I really like legacy chorus. It's really perfect with this XY pad for adding modulation, and just you can make your sound really crazy detuned. Or just add that little touch of modulation. We're doing a bit of redux. And then also we've got this doubler rack. And that's doing a bit of a hash effect and further widening our signal. We're also doing a bit of chorusing on the reverb. And chorusing on the reverb can also give you a much more lush signal. In general, for pads, I really enjoy this setting of chorus in the stock Ableton reverb. And of course, we also have sidechain compression and a bit of manual gain adjustment here with utility. So make sure to experiment with different kinds of modulation. This is of course not all that you can do. And yeah, you can add phasers, flangers, of course, different types of chorus, different types of pitch modulation, and many more things. We also have this line right here. Let me play this to you. And this is a bit more aggressive sounding, and it just gives our sound a bit of a rough edge. It's very subtle, so you won't notice it when you're listening to the overall track. But this one is simply using saturation and overdrive followed by EQ. So without the EQ, this would be over the top, this would overpower our signal. But when we are controlling it and narrowing down the frequency response with EQ, especially that we are taking out a resonance here at around 3.5 kilohertz, it just fits in the background, gives us a few more of the higher, rougher sounding harmonics, and it just kind of makes our sound a bit modern. We are just feeling sort of this sound, not really hearing and paying active attention to this particular track. All right, and also I wanted to show you some LFO effects that you can do. So LFOs are incredibly useful with pad sounds, so they can add all kinds of modulation craziness. But here I added this classic trick with 2 LFOs and an auto filter. So what we're doing here is I have a morph filter, which sounds like this. So basically we are switching between low pass through band pass all the way to high pass, and it just creates a bit of phasing, especially if we have the resonance here at halfway. This combined with modulating the frequency of this auto filter just gives us a little bit of modulation and variation. So let me just crank the dry wet here. And then if we have this sort of phasey-ish signal, we can just dial down the dry wet and make this effect a bit more subtle. Alright, so that's a really cool technique, and obviously you can assign the LFO to pretty much anything, like in a modular synth here in Ableton, so there are endless creative possibilities with this device. And we also have a bit of ear candy here over here, so this is the track. We are just using a simple sine wave to create this, and also an LFO to modulate the gain. So we are creating this sort of plucky sound, which fits in the background, and you never really pay attention to this type of sounds, but when they appear sort of randomly, it just sparks that little bit of interest and just adds up to the overall intricacy of the track. It's barely audible, but it's there, and it just gives us this little bit of ear candy on top. Alright, I hope you found some of these techniques useful. Make sure to check out our Music Production Academy with start to finish courses on making tracks in various genres. And if you'd like to learn Ableton 12 with all the foundations of music production, check out the Beginner to Advanced Live 12 Start to Finish course. Make sure to also check out the Everything Bundle Collector's Edition, which includes all of the courses, sound packs and project files in our store. And to see all of that, check the links in the video description. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, write us a comment, and I will see you in the next ones.